Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Jazakumullah khair for joining us tonight. Um, it's been a while that I have not been there to do the Friday halaqa, and we had mashallah guests, and inshallah we are anticipating that we will have guests in the coming inshallah weeks, as we will continue with some of our honorable guests from across the country that we are, mashallah, the great team is working on to bring these programs, inshallah, to you. So please join in every Friday, definitely. We will have it, inshallah, regardless if we get the message or not, or we got it late. But inshallah, we'll start tonight, inshallah, with the subject is that's sacred knowledge, seeking sacred knowledge. So inshallah we'll start with that. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. Allahumma allimna ma anfa'una wa anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa zidna ilma. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enlighten us with His knowledge, and O Allah, we ask you to increase us in our knowledge, as the Prophet ﷺ was asked to make this dua, to make this supplication, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, and O Prophet of Allah ﷺ, say, O my Lord, increase me in my knowledge. So inshallah, hopefully that I'll be able to cover some of the aspects that I wanted to speak about, but inshallah I will start with just a few ahadith from one of the great books of collection of the ahadith of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mishkatul Masabih, a great book of the collection of ahadith that are from the Sahihain, Bukhari and Muslim, in one chapter, and in the next one he talks about. He takes the ahadith from the other books of ahadith, the major ones like Tirmidhi and Abu Dawud and all those books. And then, so the Sahih Sitta, the 6 most authentic books or most famous books that we know of, are included in the first 2 chapters. In the 3rd chapter, he adds the rest of the books of ahadith. He takes them. So it's a collection of various books that are written by different scholars of the early period of our tradition, all the way starting from Imam Bukhari and even from before him as well, from his teachers. So in every chapter, he has those 3 portions that he dedicates to. So inshallah, tabarrukan, to seek the barakah of the great muhaddithun, the great scholars of hadith, and the great scholars of the transmission of our Prophet ﷺ's words and actions and whatever he taught us, all the way down to us. So I will say a few ahadith, inshallah, from this book, and then inshallah, hopefully that we are able to conclude, inshallah, within half hour. That's my goal, inshallah. If you have any questions or any comment that you want to share, inshallah, you could always use the chat button to add your comment or question, inshallah. Hopefully that we can entertain that towards the end. So inshallah, the first hadith that I would like to share, but before I get into talking about some of the hadith that I would like to mention, is that the importance of seeking sacred knowledge. This is something that it's not only compulsory, it's not only mandate, it's not only an important aspect of our tradition for every individual. As the Prophet ﷺ said, that talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslimin. This hadith is narrated by many of the scholars of hadith, including Imam Bukhari, that seeking knowledge is a mandatory, it's a fard, it's compulsory upon every Muslim. And when in the hadith or in the Quranic verses, when the male gender is used, it's a general indication to men and women, and therefore you will hear this hadith from some people. They will say ala kulli muslimin wa muslimatin. So wa muslimatin, it's not in the any of the hadith collection. It's ala kulli muslimin. However, it applies to kulli muslimatin. That's an addition to the hadith. So that's not only important for individuals, but also it's important and it's compulsory upon every community to have someone who has not just the knowledge of just the five pillars of Islam and some other masail, or um, the fiqhi or anything related to that, just the bare minimum that every person needs. Sometimes you need more than that. You have to have someone who has that capacity and has that knowledge and has extensive learning experience, who can actually answer more uh, questions that are more in depth, more detailed. So therefore, if you look at the verse of the Quran, وَمَا كَانَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ لِيَنْفِرُوا كَافَّةً فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ وَلِيُنذِرُوا قَوْمًا إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَحْذَرُونَ. This verse is in Surah At-Tawbah, towards the end, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that a community sends a group or a person to go out and to seek knowledge and seek the sacred knowledge, and when they come back, they let the people know and they teach the people. So we will get into one of those hadith, inshallah, to talk about that specifically. So what I'm trying to say is that there is two types of knowledge in terms of the importance. One is the bare minimum that everyone needs to know. Every Muslim who enters Islam or is born into Islam, that needs to know what are the things that is required from me, from my tradition. A lot of times, even we are lacking, and in terms of individuals, individually, that they are lacking in terms of the the bare minimum of our tradition. For example, the prayer, the wudu, the tahara, the purification, and some of those things that apply to almost every single male or female adult individual. So sometimes we're even lacking in that. And moreover, a lot of communities, alhamdulillah, this community is blessed, and I am blessed to be here. But you will find many communities who don't have an imam, who don't have a scholar, who don't have a person that the community can actually go to. So that becomes a responsibility upon that community to produce someone, to have someone go and study and come back and teach them, or to bring someone who can teach them, and then they have a scholar. So although it becomes very convenient nowadays that we have online everything, even now in this situation, everything is gone online. But nonetheless, that's a temporary thing, and that's something that you'd use it only when is really needed. However, to have someone and to or to be that person who can give and can help individuals in their needs of their ukhrawi, of their dini, of their religious affairs, that's a mandatory. That's something that is important, and therefore, I wanted to talk about this topic specifically tonight. That we should never be shy or never be reluctant to seek the sacred knowledge, the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet ﷺ with, and the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon the Prophet ﷺ's heart and gave this knowledge from his knowledge. And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, gave this knowledge to us and gave this knowledge to the companions, and they carried that out to different places of the world. So we are always are grateful, and we are indebted to them for their hard work and for their contribution. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even having this conversation. We wouldn't even have all this knowledge that we have in these books and these great collections that we have, that we are able to refer to. So inshallah, quickly we'll go over a few ahadith. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. Abdullah ibn Amr, excuse me. Abdullah ibn Amr, radiallahu anhu, which means Abdullah ibn Amr bin As, radiallahu anhu, one of the great companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بلغوا عني ولو آية وحدثوا عن بني إسرائيل ولا حرج. That convey from me even if you know one verse of the Quran. I was surprised tonight, subhanallah. I came just before Maghrib and I got a call from one of the community members that there is a person who's interested in Islam and he wants to meet you right after Maghrib. And I said, subhanallah, I have this program that I need to do, but definitely I will take out some time. And subhanallah, it was very interesting that this person came all the way from Rhode Island, was visiting the area. He saw the Sharon Lake. He went there, met this Muslim family. He said, "Hey, I know I have some friends who are Muslims, and I'm really interested in Islam." And then he brought him here to the masjid, and we had a very quick chat just before we started. And mashallah, gave him a copy of the Quran. So, just one word, whatever you know, you can give that, and you never know how far that one little bit of knowledge that you gave, that little bit time that you took out to give to someone, to teach someone, that made a difference to their lives. And hopefully that inshallah he will come back, and many others. And so that's بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةٍ. Convey from me even if it's one verse. You know, one verse, teach that to others. That's something that's how this tradition is preserved, is by taking it and conveying it to others and preaching it and giving it to others. We don't just hold back. حدثوا عن بني إسرائيل ولا حرج, and talk about the children of Israel, the nations that came before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there's no harm in it. ومن كذب علي متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. And whoever lies on me, meaning that something that I didn't say, and he says that the Prophet ﷺ said and such, so he's lying on the Prophet ﷺ deliberately. فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. He should make his place in the fire of hell. So that last part it's a very important part of this hadith that indicates that it's very, very important to make sure that whatever we're talking about and saying, relating that to the Prophet ﷺ, you could say anything, but saying that the Prophet ﷺ said such and such, we have to be very careful to make sure that we know that's what he said. We have to have reference for that. And that's why we have all these collections of hadith and have indication of where did we get this from. So it's narrated by Imam Bukhari, this hadith. And we know that Imam Bukhari in his book, he gives the whole chain of narration all the way to the Prophet ﷺ from Abdullah ibn Amr bin As. So it's definitely what the Prophet ﷺ said. The second hadith that I would like to share is the Prophet ﷺ said that, and this hadith is narrated by Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. Again, this is from Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. Whomever Allah wills good for that person, he wants good for so and so, يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ, he gives him the understanding of this deen, he gives the understanding of this tradition. وَإِنَّمَا أَنَا قَاسِمٌ وَاللَّهُ يُعْطِي. And I am the distributor and Allah is the giver. Meaning that, as I mentioned in the beginning, that the Prophet ﷺ is the one who conveyed whatever Allah taught him. So Allah is his first and last teacher. Allah was his direct teacher, right? Whatever he said, it was wahi. Whatever he conveyed, it was wahi. Whether it's a wahi from the Quran, whether from Jibreel alayhi salam, and whatever inspiration Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired him with, whatever he said, it became a hadith. So this is what he is saying, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Allah is the giver. Allah is the one who gave that knowledge to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, just like he gave this knowledge to the previous prophets who came before him, including Jesus, including Moses, including Noah, Adam, all the way to him. Allah is the one who gave them knowledge, and they distribute it. They distribute it. It's by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next hadith, so that's two hadith. The third hadith that I would like to share regarding seeking sacred knowledge, a little longer hadith. This hadith is narrated by Imam Muslim in his book of Sahih, of his Jami', that وعنه أي وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. It's a long hadith, different portions of it, but we will elaborate a little more on the section that it is related to this topic. That whomever takes upon taking care of a difficulty of a believer of this world, the difficulty of this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will relieve him from the difficulty of the difficulties of the next world. وَمَنْ يَسَّرَ عَلَى مُعْسِرٍ يَسَّرَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. And whoever makes it easy upon someone of this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for him in the hereafter and in the next and sorry about that. I'm back. طيب. Whoever makes it easy upon someone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for him in this world and the next. Beautiful hadith. We can spend a whole half hour just on this one hadith. وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا, the third part of this hadith. وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Whoever covers up on someone's shortcoming, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cover up his shortcomings or his or something that he does not want to unveil to others. Allah will cover up that in this world and the hereafter. Not just in the hereafter, but in this world as well. The fourth part, وَاللَّهُ فِي عَوْنِ الْعَبْدِ مَا كَانَ الْعَبْدُ فِي عَوْنِ أَخِيهِ. And Allah is in the help of the servant who is in the help of other people. So if you know when Allah is helping you and Allah is attending you and is with you and it will help you in your situation, is when you are helping somebody else. Beautiful. The next part of the hadith, which is related to our topic, وَمَنْ سَلَكَ طَرِيقًا يَلْتَمِسُ فِيهِ عِلْمًا سَهَلَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بِهِ طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. And whoever takes a path of that he seeks knowledge in that path, whoever takes a path in which he seeks knowledge, سَهَلَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بِهِ طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his path towards doing so. Allah will make his path toward Jannah easy, meaning that if you are in the path of sacred knowledge, that's the path that takes you to Jannah, right? So, in other words, the path of knowledge, the path that you take and seeking knowledge, whether you're walking, whether you're doing it in your home or online or in person, that path is actually taking you to Jannah. وَمَا اجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بُيُوتِ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُم. And whenever a group of people gather in one of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they read the book of Allah, they read the book of Allah, وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ فِيمَا بَيْنَهُم, and they read to one another, they exchange the knowledge of Quran with one another. What happens? إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ. Tranquility descends upon them. Number one, Allah gives them tranquility. وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ, and His mercy covers them. وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, and the angels descend upon them. وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ, And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that person who is seeking knowledge in the company of the angels, in the company of those who are with him, meaning the angels. So in this part, it's mentioning four amazing virtues of seeking knowledge, of just going out to seek knowledge, of just going or sitting or doing whatever you're doing and you're seeking knowledge through that medium. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you tranquility, happy. He was a great scholar, Ibn Mubarak rahimahullah, one of the great Abdullah Mubarak, who doesn't know him? One of the greatest scholars and one of the greatest abid, worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the earliest centuries of Islam. He says that if the kings knew what joy and happiness and tranquility we have, they will leave their kingdom and they will fight with us to get that from us. The joy and the tranquility that we have. So he was from one of the people of knowledge. He was from one of the people of ilm. He was one of the people of zuhud, person who's dedicated to the hereafter, to seek knowledge, to teach people, to help people, and that was his. That was all what he did in his later life. And the second that thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised the one who seeks knowledge, that Allah will cover him in his mercy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows mercy to everyone, but a special mercy Allah shows to those who are seeking sacred knowledge, beneficial knowledge. حفتهم الملائكة, angels are with them. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that when a person goes to seek knowledge, the angels put their wings under their footsteps, under their feet, as they're when we have a special guest that comes in, a special person that comes in, normally they put the red carpet out. So they put the red carpet, right, as they say, putting a red carpet. So that red carpet for the person who seeks knowledge is the wings of the angels. And therefore, I was reminded a little while ago that you should respect those who are seeking knowledge. Even where they're walking, you should respect even their footsteps. And if we knew what blessings are there, we would go and kiss their feet, because the angels are spreading their wings under their feet. Subhanallah. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. We don't see it, but it's true. Amanna wa saddaqna. We believe in that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that person who's seeking knowledge in the company of the angels. Allahu Akbar. So that's let's also, there's in that last part. وَمَنْ بَطَّأَ بِهِ عِلْمُهُ لَمْ يَسْرَعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. That if a person is left behind, if someone is left behind because they did not seek knowledge, their lineage will not make them go ahead. It will not do them any good in terms of, because just my father is so and so, he is a scholar, he is that. Just like a rich person's son doesn't automatically become rich unless if the dad gives them money, because that's worldly things. But in terms of knowledge, a person who's a scholar, his son also has to work as hard as the father to gain that knowledge. So therefore, the Prophet ﷺ is saying that a person, if he knows that his father is a great scholar or a great person, you also have to work hard just like your father did to gain what he gained. So it is very important to not just to seek knowledge, but also to respect the people of knowledge. Akrimu ahl al-Quran. The Prophet, one of the sayings that you have to respect and honor the people of Quran, because they have the most sacred of all scriptures and all words in their heart, in terms of their words, in terms of the meaning, in terms of the interpretation. And we have to respect and we have to honor them, honor the people of knowledge, honor the people of sacred knowledge. We honor everyone, and especially someone who's really has done something remarkable in their lives, but in particular, the people who have learned and have went to scholars and sat in their, under their guidance and studied for many many years. We have to respect them and we have to honor them. Um, um, and how would they honor, and how, what we know from the previous and the earliest generations, how did they honor the people of knowledge? Even if you look at as early as the time of the Sahaba, um, that we'll go into the hadith that Kathir ibn Qais, this hadith is narrated um, by Imam Ahmad in his Musnad, and Tirmidhi, and Abu Dawud, and Ibn Majah, and Darimi, and many others. Kathir ibn Qais says that he's one of the tabi'is. He's sitting, he says, I was kuntu jalisan ma'a Abi Darda'i fi masjid Dimashq. He was all the way in Damascus. Guess what? How all that knowledge went to those places. Those companions went there. As Ali radiallahu anhu, the son-in-law of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, went to Iraq, right? And that's why there's so many great scholars, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu as well. Many scholars were produced by just those few individuals who went there and taught, and it became one of the most thriving places of knowledge, Iraq, right now the Iraq. So he was all the way in Damascus, in nowadays Syria, in the famous masjid of Damascus, Masjid Dimashq. فَجَاءَ رَجُلٌ. So a person just came in, as Kathir ibn Qais was sitting with Abu Darda. Abu Darda is one of the great companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So he says, I was sitting with Abu Darda, and this guy comes in. فقال يا أبا الدرداء إني جئتك من مدينة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لحديث بلغني أنك حدثته عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He says, I came all the way from Medina. Medina and Damascus is about, 500 miles, I guess. A couple hundred miles. Very far. All the way to the north. Traveled all the way from Medina. And what he says, I came all the way from Medina for a hadith that I heard, that you know about this hadith because you heard this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. Nowadays, we just Google and find it. And we don't even write it down. We copy and paste. Copy electronically and paste. And we have it there. But that's how knowledge was preserved. And that's how knowledge was preserved until this day. And that's why we have all these collections. If it wasn't for these people who traveled miles and hundreds of miles just to learn one hadith, just one hadith. He didn't come for anything else. Came just to hear this one hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. He said that I didn't come for any other reason except to hear this hadith. فإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول. He said yes. The Prophet ﷺ said, من سلك طريقا يطلب فيه علما سلك الله به طريقا من طرق الجنة. That whoever takes a path that he seeks knowledge in that path, he has taken a path that leads him towards Jannah. وَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَتَضَعُ أَجْنِحَتَهَا رِضًا لِطَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ. And the angels spread their wings under the feet. They lay down their wings for the pleasure of the seeker of knowledge. وَإِنَّ الْعَالِمَ. And the knowledge of a person, when a person seeks knowledge and he attains that knowledge and he acts upon it and he does what it's required for him to do, what happens? وَإِنَّ الْعَالِمَ يَسْتَغْفِرُ لَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Anything in the heavens and in the earth, they all make istighfar. They seek Allah's forgiveness for that person. وَالْحِيتَانُ فِي جَوْفِ الْمَاءِ, even the whales and the fishes in the ocean, they make istighfar for this person, for the person of knowledge. وَإِنَّ الْعُلَمَاءَ وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ, and the scholars of the tradition are the ears of the Prophet. Because why? How they become the ears of the Prophet? He further says, وَإِنَّ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ لَمْ يُوَرِّثُوا دِينَارًا وَلَا دِرْهَمًا وَإِنَّمَا وَرَّثُوا الْعِلْمَ. The prophets never left anything in their inheritance of this worldly things. They only inherit knowledge. وَإِنَّمَا وَرَّثُوا الْعِلْمَ فَمَنْ أَخَذَهُ أَخَذَ بِحَظٍ وَافِرٍ. And whoever takes that knowledge should take it with strength and with full attention, right? Take a good amount of it. Hadd al-wafir, meaning that a good portion of it. You shouldn't just take a little bit and just say, okay, whatever. You should take hadd wafir. You should take whatever you can take. Just like if someone says there is free things giving, there's an what do you call them? A garage sale going on, and it's all free stuff available for anyone who wants to come and take it. If you really need things, what do? You will go, and whatever you could say, whatever you could take, you will take. Whatever you see and is good, you will take it. Right? There was a person, he came and he said to them in the masjid, oh, no, he went from masjid, he went to this what do you call business place and into the market, and he said that, what are you guys doing over? They're distributing the inheritance of the Prophet ﷺ in the masjid. And everybody thought that, oh, maybe there's a treasure that the Prophet ﷺ left and is being distributed in the masjid. And everybody rushed to the masjid. And when they got there, they saw this companion teaching. And they asked the guy that, what's going on? He said that their inheritance is being distributed to everyone who can go and take it. He said that this is the inheritance of the Prophet ﷺ. Knowledge, seeking knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ was once, he entered the masjid and he saw a group of people seeking knowledge, teaching and learning. And he saw another group of people who were just doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ, he came and he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with those who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But those who are seeking knowledge and teaching knowledge, they're the one who's teaching knowledge. He is a scholar, and his virtue is over a abid, just like my virtue over any other companions, or even the least of my companions. And then he said that I am a teacher. Allah has sent me as a teacher, and I have been sent as a muallim. Bu'ithtu muallima. I've been sent as a teacher. And he went and he sat with those individuals who were learning and teaching. So the Prophet ﷺ, as he said in another hadith, and this hadith is the next one, that the Prophet ﷺ was asked, and he was mentioned that there are two people. One is a great worshipper, and the other one is a great, a knowledgeable person. And then the Prophet ﷺ said that فَضْلُ الْعَالِمِ عَلَى الْعَابِدِ كَفَضْلِي عَلَى أَدْنَاكُمْ. That the virtue of a scholar over a abid, over a worshipper, is like the virtue of myself, of the Prophet ﷺ, over any least of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So there is a huge difference. Nobody can even get close to the Prophet ﷺ's state. Even the greatest of the companions, and so that's the difference of a scholar and a worshipper. Because a worshipper will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He may make mistakes, he may not know. But a scholar, he's not only just doing a favor to himself, that he's learning and he's gaining knowledge and he's doing it right, but also he's able to teach other people and get other people to do the things right. So that's why there's the great importance. And all of the books of a hadith that we will see, any books of a hadith, always it has a chapter of seeking knowledge and the virtue of seeking knowledge. I'll inshallah maybe mention one or two other hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "تعلموا الفرائض والقرآن وعلموا الناس فإني مقبوض." رواه الترمذي. Imam Tirmidhi mentions this hadith from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that seek the knowledge of inheritance. We're just talking about inheritance. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said two things about this: تعلموا الفرائض والقرآن. Seek the knowledge of the inheritance and the knowledge of Quran. The Prophet ﷺ put these two knowledge close to one another, and he gave great importance to it. Because فَإِنِّي مَقْبُوضٌ, because I'm going to leave one day. And he wanted to, and he had to. That was his responsibility, to convey whatever Allah has taught him to other people. So the Quran was one of them, and also the knowledge of inheritance. And there's another hadith about inheritance, and it's worth, I guess, mentioning here that the Prophet ﷺ said that the first knowledge that will be taken away from my ummah will be the knowledge of inheritance. And then a time will come that Allah will slowly take away the knowledge until there will not be a single person who has credible knowledge. And then what will happen? حتى اتخذ الناس رؤوسا جهالا. Then people will just say that so-and-so is a knowledgeable person, and that person say, hey, I didn't know I was a knowledgeable person, and he will become just famous, and then he will become the scholar, although he's a fake scholar, and then he will give فَأَفْتَوْا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, and then they will start giving verdicts of the traditional and the sacred knowledge, and the fiqh issues and the other issues of our tradition from their own logical way, without any deep knowledge, without even referring to the Quran, without taking and twisting the Quranic verses, just like the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith that if a person just gives any interpretation of the verses of the Quran, even if he was right, even if he got the point and he was on point in that explanation or that interpretation of that verse, he is done wrong. فَقَدْ أَصَابَ فَقَدْ أَخْطَأ. Even if he was right, he has done wrong, because he has given from his own intellectual understanding, from his own research, from his own findings. And he did not rely on what the scholars have said and what the previous scholars and what the Sahaba said about and therefore the scholars have they formed a particular science for the knowledge of Quran and how to interpret the Quran. It's called ulum al-Quran. So a time will come when people would not have authentic scholars, and then you have all these pop-up fake scholars that will come out. فَأَفْتَوْا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ فَضَلُّوا وَأَضَلُّوا. They will misguide themselves, they will be misguided, and they will misguide other people. So the Prophet ﷺ said about inheritance, that's the first knowledge that will be taken away. Until a time will come that people will go and they will have a death in the family, and they will have the inheritance, and they will not know how to distribute it. And therefore, we always recommend, and we did a whole halaqa on how to write your will, to make sure that you put that the right detail of inheritance. And mashallah, we have a great scholar within our own community, Sheikh Abdurrahman, who is a master in this field, and he's a master in also the knowledge of Quran. So تعلموا الفرائض والقرآن, seek the inheritance, the rulings of inheritance, and the knowledge of Quran, the interpretation of the Quran. وعلموا الناس, and teach people. فإني مقبوض, because I'm going to leave this world, I'm going to leave you. Those are the people of knowledge. Sheikh Abdul Mun'im, he's a person of Quran, he's a person of al-fara'id, who knows the rulings of inheritance, which is very rare, and that's becoming very, very apparent, that you will hardly find in the if you look at the whole scholars, the whole spectrum, you will find very few scholars who actually mastered this particular knowledge. One of my teachers, who's still around, who first taught us this knowledge, subhanallah, he was just a great master in this. He would not need any reference. He didn't need to go back and check and see if it's right or wrong. He would know, because it's a very detailed, and every person is unique, right? Because everyone's family structure is very unique in that sense. So he would know the answer. He would know the numbers. He had the numbers. He was not very good um, at the other sciences, but when he came to the science of inheritance, he was a master. Subhanallah. Sheikh Abdurrahman is like that. So we take advantage from these people, and we should have someone in our community to say that, okay, especially some of our youngsters who have the ability, and they have the capacity, and they have the strength, and the time as well, in this summer, to go and say, Sheikh Abdurrahman, can you teach us some of this knowledge, especially Quran, that we have these programs that inshallah will start inshallah in the coming week from Mondays. My Sheikh Abdurrahman and myself and other volunteers, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our volunteers group who put these programs together. These are opportunities, and we should, especially our youngsters, our young generation. We always talk about what's going to happen to our young generation. These are opportunities for them to seek knowledge. And one of the keys of seeking sacred knowledge is to learn the language in which these knowledge were initially transmitted. And that was the Arabic language. Quran is in Arabic. All the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Arabic. All the major books of the different sciences that are in the Arabic language. So it's very, very important to learn Arabic language. So that's being offered. And I encourage our youngsters and those parents who are with us tonight, if they have kids, or they have kids who are, becoming adults from a Shari'i perspective, right? 13 and above, for boys and girls. These are opportunities that we are offering our community. So please take advantage of it and spread the word out to others. We still have another day for our registration. So if you haven't heard about it, if you know other people in our community, spread the word out. Let people know that these classes are being offered, inshallah, and hopefully that our Sharon community, ICNE Sharon, should be a place of seeking and teaching knowledge, sacred knowledge, teaching the Quran, learning the different sciences. You know, later on, the tradition of madaris, of proper traditional institutions, they came into existence. But in the early days, the masajid, the houses of Allah, were the places to seek knowledge. And that's one of the not the primary purpose of a masjid, but it's also one of the important elements, that where I just mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. When he entered his masjid, he saw a few people seeking knowledge and teaching and learning. So we want to, and hopefully that we see this vision, and we hopefully that becomes true, where this becomes a place of knowledge. In particular, we have so many people who are interested in learning Quran and teaching Quran, and we have that opportunity. We should, as a community, establish something. If you look at different churches, they're usually good at one thing. They are famous for one thing. They are famous for doing this certain thing. They are famous for charity. They're famous to do, they have their pantry that they offer, certain things that they do, services that they have. What is our community famous for? I'm not saying this because we want to become famous. We want people to talk about us. Wow, what a great community. That's not the point. The point is that, we have all these opportunities, and we take advantage of it, and we become a leading community in certain aspects. And these are one of the aspects that our community can definitely be a leading source for that. Alhamdulillah, we have the opportunities, we have the people, and we have, mashallah, very talented people who can actually run these kind of programs. So inshallah, Um, hopefully that I will do another session on this. I would like to share some other thoughts on it. We're getting late. It's already past 9:30. Some of us may need to have dinner, like myself. But inshallah, looking forward to really, as an imam, I really wish that we have more. And it's not just a wish, but I really believe that we can, and we can, inshallah, and we will have ongoing programs, offerings that we have in our community for sacred knowledge, for seeking knowledge. And I'll close this with one part. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that if he mentioned many categories, be a seeker of knowledge, or a teacher of knowledge, or a person who helps seeking knowledge. If you cannot see, if you're not doing it yourself, you're not teaching, you're not learning, at least you be a helper. And the fourth category that he mentioned, he says that, or at least you be a lover, a well-wisher to the people who seek knowledge, and for those students who seek knowledge. And traditionally, all the way until very recently, it was always a thing of our community that will always um, will, support these kind of activities, and they will help out students. Instead of students having them pay, they will give a stipend to the students. And that's how people took it serious. And that's why those institutions, they kept on going, and they flourished in so many places. And we have those places of knowledge until this day that there are, producing so much good. So alhamdulillah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of our community. Why did the Quran classes stop? We didn't stop the classes. We just took a break from our regular classes that we have been offering every Tuesdays and Fridays. So those classes, we are taking a break because we're offering another kind of accelerated, intensive Quran classes for um, children and teenagers and even adults who would like to kind of do something in this summer to have a goal and to achieve that. Because of the time and because of all the situation that is going on, we definitely have an extra time during this summer in particular. So that's why we have those classes during the summer. So we have the Quran classes, we have Arabic classes, we have classes for fiqh and aqidah. So those are the classes that we are offering during the summer, inshallah, from July and August. And then those Tuesday, Friday classes, inshallah, will continue once the summer intensive is over. So we haven't stopped, inshallah. We are just taking a break because we're offering an alternative and actually a more intensive and more aggressive program. Is, mashallah, the idea is to try this summer to have kids and individuals memorize a portion of the Quran, a targeted portion of the Quran. And that's why we have the 29th juz, we have the 28th juz, we have the 27th juz, whichever one you want to choose. And for 2 months, inshallah, the target is that those who enroll, especially in the Quran classes, that they are able to memorize that particular juz if they are whatever juz that they have chosen to take. Inshallah, hopefully that the teacher and the TAs, inshallah. So we have teachers, dedicated teachers, and subs as well, qualified ones, who will inshallah help and assist. And inshallah, hopefully, whatever students that we will be getting, inshallah, we are happy. It doesn't matter the numbers, but we want to make sure that the word is out and everybody knows about it. And those who are looking for programs like this, that they can take advantage of these programs, inshallah. And then after summer, inshallah, in the fall, once schools start, we will reopen those classes, inshallah. Hopefully that answers that question, inshallah. So the link is mentioned there. Brother Imran posted the link for our essentials. So we are calling it essentials, meaning that the bare minimum. So one of the bare minimum is also seeking knowledge about the language itself, as I mentioned earlier, learning Arabic language. I've offered that program multiple times. This time is geared towards the younger folks, inshallah, for boys and girls, especially the high schoolers and even college going students, they can take advantage of it, inshallah. It's going to be on a little faster and a little more accelerated pace as compared to the previous ones. And inshallah, hopefully, from these classes, my vision is that we will continue, inshallah, these classes after the summer to on a more slower, more easier, and a more long-term pace, inshallah. So we have programs that hopefully, inshallah, we can develop programs that people can take that, as often as every year or something like that. So people can be in a continuous learning. Those who learn and those who are able to teach, then they can start teaching, inshallah. That's how this tradition remains. We spend so much time and energy and everything into every aspect of our academics for our kids, even for SATs and for driving school. We spend so much time and money just to make sure that our kid doesn't fail the driving test, right? Um, this is also very, very important. It's not also, but this is the most important knowledge, and this is the most important aspect that we have to take it more serious, and we have to invest a little more. We have to take time out. Inshallah, this is a sadaqah jariyah, especially for our parents and for our brothers and sisters who would like to volunteer and help in any way. This is a sadaqah jariyah. أو ولد صالح يدعو له, a child that will make dua for you. Any child that comes through these programs and they able to learn, and now they're able to even teach others, all of that reward is actually going into your books of deeds. So it is something, as I mentioned in the last hadith, about be one of those four people. Be a seeker of knowledge, be a teacher of knowledge, be a helper of knowledge, uh, um, or at least be a well-wisher and a lover for those who seek knowledge. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those people who seek knowledge from the time that they came in this world, and they continue to seek knowledge until the last moment of their lives. So that's how knowledge, inshallah, will continue. Jazakumullah khair for joining us tonight, inshallah. We will continue every Friday halaqa virtually with many, inshallah, guest speakers that we have lined up for the next month or two. So, inshallah, please join us every Friday evening, inshallah, most probably after Maghrib. But we will send out the information, inshallah, much earlier than this time. This time we were not able to send it out, but alhamdulillah, I'm glad that you all made it. And make dua for me, make dua for everyone. Make dua for Brother Yasir's uncle who passed away, Brother Imran's son, Salman, who we just did his janazah this evening, actually earlier in the day. And mashallah, one of our great community members. Inshallah, there's a aza scheduled for the family this coming Sunday, inshallah, day after tomorrow, 1 hour before Maghrib. So inshallah, we'll send that information soon, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Everybody's doing okay. Everybody's doing well. Anyone would like to share any ideas, thoughts? Inshallah.